Scene 4 has us reuniting with the boys. Benvolio and Mercutio, they're walking around. It's morning now. And they're worried because Romeo did not make it home last night. So where they thought he was running off to go home to get away from them, turns out that he didn't even make it home. And now they're kind of curious as to what Romeo was up to during the night. So we have Benvolio and Mercutio. Mercutio says, "Where the devil should Romeo be? He didn't come home tonight." He asked Benvolio, he not home tonight? Benvolio's like, "No, he didn't go home. He didn't go to his father's house. I spoke with a servant there. He never made it home." And Mercutio's like, "Why, that same pale-hearted wench, that Rosaline, torments him so that he will sure run mad." So basically he says Rosaline is making him mad, Rosaline is making him crazy, and then Benvolio turns his attention to something else and says Tybalt, the kinsman to old Capulet, has sent a letter to his father's house. So Tybalt has sent a letter to the Montague residence. Mercutio's like, "A challenge on my life?" So he's like, "I bet you that Tybalt has challenged Romeo to a fight." Benvolio says Romeo will answer it, confirming that yes, Tybalt has actually sent a letter to the Montague household. He sent one to Romeo, has challenged him to a duel. Mercutio says, being a little bit sarcastic, "Yeah, any man that can write may answer a letter." So he's not sure that Romeo will answer the letter to the fight, but he's saying, yeah, Tybalt will sure get a reply. And Benvolio says, no, he will answer the letter's master, how he dares being dared. So Benvolio is actually saying, I trust that Romeo will accept this duel and he will fight Tybalt. And Mercutio's like, oh, poor Romeo, he's already dead. He's been stabbed with a white wench's black eye, shot through the ear with a love song, the very pin of his heart cleft with a blind boy's butt shaft. And is he a man to encounter Tybalt? So he said, you know what? Romeo is heartbroken. He's sad. He's mopey. He's dead already if he fights Tybalt. He has no chance. This is the Romeo that's going to fight him? This pathetic little version that we just saw last night? No way. Not a chance. Benvolio's like, why? Like, what's so good about Tybalt? And Mercutio says, he's more than the Prince of Cats. So that would be Tybalt's nickname, is the Prince of Cats, for whatever reason. He calls him courageous. He gets a lot of compliments, Tybalt. He fights, as you sing, prick song, keeps time, distance, and proportion. So he's a good fighter. He dances with he fights with rhythm. He fights like he's dancing. He rests 1, 2, and a third in your bosom, so he can stab you 3 times with accuracy. And I love this next line: the very butcher of a silk button. So his accuracy is so good he can stab a silk button off someone's shirt. A duelist, a gentleman of the very first house of the first and second cause. So basically, he is a great fighter. Okay. He makes a little bit of a song reference there, or a music reference, sorry, in reference to how well and how well timed Tybalt fights. Benvolio's like, what? Like, what's so good about him? And then Mercutio goes off a little speech. He says, you know what? As much as Tybalt is a good fighter, as many compliments as he gets, I actually don't like him that much. So Mercutio doesn't really like Tybalt. Everything that Tybalt stands for, Mercutio is against. They're kind of opposites in that sense, and he's saying, you know what, I just don't like Tybalt. Okay, and now Romeo, he's finally back. Here comes Romeo, here comes Romeo. They haven't seen him for a while. They ditched him last night. He never went home. So it's time to find out what happened. And Mercutio, again, just launches into mocking him, says, without his roe like a dried herring, O flesh, how art thou fishified? So he's been up all night. He looks tired. He looks drained. He looks like he hasn't slept. And it looks like he's had a rough time, is what he's saying. Now, here are a bunch of different allusions, references that Mercutio makes to beautiful women in history. He says Laura, Dido, Cleopatra, all known for being great beauties in their own rights. Compared to Rosaline, they're nothing. I like this line. Cleopatra is just a gypsy, right? So nothing is good enough for Romeo when compared to Rosaline. he's basically mocking him, right? That no one, they went to this party just like Benvolio said, and tried to show him all these different beauties, and nothing stirred Romeo. And then finally he says, "Hey, you gave us the counterfeit fairly last night. You ditched us last night there, buddy." And Romeo's like, "Good morning to both of you. What counterfeit did I give you?" And then Mercutio's like, the slip. You left us. Remember? Like, you remember ditching us?" Romeo's like, "You're right. Pardon me. Good Mercutio, I apologize. I'm sorry. My business was great. My distraction, why I left you, was great. I needed to leave, and you know what? It made me forget my manners. It made me strain courtesy. So I apologize for that." Mercutio says, "That's as much as to say, such a case as yours constrains a man to bow in the hams." Basically, what made you ditch us so much? And this is where they have some wordplay here. So Mercutio's like, "You know what? Maybe you should bow to me in forgiveness. You should beg on your knees." And then Romeo's like, "What do you mean? You want me to curtsy? What do you want me to do for you?" And then Mercutio's like, "Yeah, you can curtsy for me, you can bow down to me." And then Romeo says, "Oh, a most courteous exposition." So now he's playing on the word curtsy, saying, "Oh, what a polite explanation that you gave me. Thank you very much." And then Mercutio says, "I am the very pink of courtesy." So pink is like is the color that represents courtesy, peace, and Romeo says pink for flower. He's referencing for a pink flower, which the boys are getting a little bit dirty now, and they have a couple back and forths with their dirty jokes here. And remember, Mercutio and Romeo, they're best friends, right? So when they get together, they are very quick, right? They like to mess with each other, and so that's what's going on here. And then Mercutio says, he turns to Benvolio and is like, "Hey, come break this up. Like, Romeo's too quick for me. He's too smart." Again, kind of making fun of him. He says, "I've never seen Romeo, and he's so smart today." Wink, wink. AKA, like, he's not being that funny. Mercutio's trying to say, right? Like, Romeo's still a little bit slow, not quite catching up with Mercutio. Uh, and and then Romeo's like, "You know what? This fight isn't over. Let's keep going. Like, I feel like I'm actually being pretty witty here." And he's like, "You know what? Chasing your wits, trying to go back and forth with you is like chasing a wild goose. You know what? I don't want to do it. I'm not interested. Let's end this conversation." And then they just have a little bit back and forth about the goose now, and so you can really detail or see here that these two are really good friends. Okay, they get along. They can joke with each other. Obviously, Romeo wasn't up for those jokes a little bit earlier because he was so sad. But now they can get along, and they can react with each other again, because now Romeo is happy and he's in love once again.